Okay, so let's take a look at doing something, I don't want to say complicated, but there is some complexity and multiple steps to this. So my goal is to create something like this where I have pictures across, some text, pictures across. Okay, now if you take a look, this can occupy one whole box. So the question is, without using grid boxes, how do I get these columns? Well, the answer is I create a box and I create columns. There is special CSS code to create columns. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my section 4. So you may have to move some pieces around in your grid, but what I want my section 4 to look like is, something with some size like this. And then, just maybe if you need to add an additional row to put your toolbar down here. But I'm going to adjust this. So a couple of adjustments I want to do before I get started is I want to give some room because you're going to need to use a lot of space in here. And I want to go into the CSS real quick and go up to grid, and section 4 occupies row 4. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of 300 pixels right here, I'm going to set it to auto. And what that does is with whatever I put into the box, it will adjust with it. And I made some changes to section 4 in the last tutorial. So one thing I'm going to do is I'll keep the text, I'll keep the Explorer the way it is, but I'm going to bump down the text size to, let's say, I think it was set to 50. I'm going to set it to 24, okay? Make it a little bit more readable. And there it is right there. So this adjusted according, but as we add more content, this black box is going to increase. So you see right now it's not that chunky, but it'll increase. Okay, first up, let's set up the HTML code. So I want a picture and I want text, but I'm going to have to apply a style above all of these pictures and text. So what I want to do first is I'm going to leave like a lonely div up here, and I'm going to put a lonely little closed div down here, and I'll tab it over so it's easier to read. So within a box, I got these divs right here, and I'm going to apply a class, but I'm not going to do it yet. So I'm going to tab over, and I'm going to have, again, I'm going to have a picture, and then I'm going to have text. So to do a picture, of course, you do image source equals quote, and so there's my picture code, okay? And I'm also going to have text. So I'm going to wrap this in a div, and this may come in handy later. So I'm going to do a div, I'm going to arrow over, I'm going to do a P, and then another one, and then I'm going to end it with a div. And this is if I want to, say, have a title or a header, and then I have the paragraph. You could add some breaks, and you can put some distance between, all of that. So let's see, what do I have? I have my lonely div that matches right here. So I'm just going to bring that back up. Let's see. So I kind of have to, oops, there we go. And I want to provide some space because this div is attached to the section div. So basically, I'm going to do this 4 different times. And what I did is I already uploaded some pictures. Now you're going to want to stick to uploading either pictures in portrait or pictures in landscape. And I have a mix, and I'll show you like kind of how that sort of plays out. So I got portrait, portrait, portrait. This one's kind of square, but it's more portrait. But this landscape one's going to get kind of wonky, and I've already uploaded these. I just stole them off Wikipedia. So again, I have this all laid out. I have an image in here. So I am going to copy and paste this 4 separate times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And see, this is involved, so you're going to want to space this out. So this div's connected to this div, so I'm going to arrow this over like that. And this div's connected to, this div's connected to actually, that div. This div's connected to this div. So I'm going to arrow that over. So I did my spacing and I'm ready to go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load in the pictures. So copy, go to index. So this is my first cat. There we go. So I have all my cats loaded in, and in between the p tags, I'm going to go some text. Oops. And I'm just going to copy that a bunch of times. There. Also above this div, I'm going to put title. So I put the, maybe this is the cat. So I'll call it cat 1. And then this is text about the cat. So here's my cat 4 with the picture, cat 3, cat 2, cat 1. Okay. So I have this div, and I'm going to have to apply the column code to it. So you want to make sure it matches up. So I have this div right here, and that matches with this. Let's look at this div. I do not have a match. So make sure that you have a match to that. So let's take a look. So I'm clicked in this div, and I click this div. Oh, this div's matching to this div. Okay. So I messed that up. So let's try this again. Click in this div. None of those are lighting up. Good. So I've wrapped all of this stuff. So I'm going to apply a column. So I'm just going to call the class column. So div class equals quote column. I'm going to go over to my CSS and scroll down. And since this is in grid 4, I'm going to start wanting to group stuff together. So within section 4, I'm going to have a column. Okay. So here's section 5. So give yourself some room. There. So what I'm going to fill it in with is column dash count 4. Oops. There we go. I'm going to reload. Let's take a look. Whoa, there's a ton of overlap. And that's because I need to format my pictures. So if you remember from the icon video, I had to set all of my pictures at the same height and width. And this is why you want to sort of use portraits, or at least have pictures that are all portrait, because I'm going to have a landscape one in there and it's going to look all wonky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate class, and I'm going to call it cat. And I'm going to have to adjust the height and width of the picture. So I'm going to start at 100 pixels. Oops, width. And I'm going to reload. And I haven't applied the class yet to the cats. and that's going to go in the image source. So I go class equals quote cat. So what I did is I applied cat to each one of these little kitties, and I'm going to open this up wide. I already have it open. And there we go. So this still says section 4, so I'll delete that out. See how this was landscape, so you see how it's kind of wonk. And a couple of these are kind of wonky, and that's because I have them all at the same proportion. So so portrait is taller than it is wider. So if I go 125, so I'm going to go a little bit bigger. I'm going to go 325, and I'm going to make this 3. But my landscape one's still going to look a little wonky. So reload. There you go. Now it overruns the box right here. So the reason why it overruns is you specified you want the box a certain size, but then you said I want the pictures a certain size. And if you do that, you're going to have to shrink down your pictures. So I guess I was at 325. So I'm going to go 300. And I'm going to pop this down to 275. And it's important to note that if you apply any margins or anything like that, it's going to wonk a bit. So if you apply padding, you're going to have to adjust the size of your pictures. So if you want stuff like off of this. Now, one other thing is, so if you want more within that column, this is where it gets tricky. So all you have to do for this is just do the 4. But let's say you wanted more. Well, what you have to do is, and this is where you want to get into maybe like using notes. So you have the column, and I'm going to put a note in there, cat column 1. Okay, so this tells me it's cat column 1. And sometimes I like to make it Captain Obvious. Control C, Control V, so it's Captain Obvious. And then right here would be cat column 2 and all that stuff. And if you click there, this should buddy up. Let's see. These buddy up. That really doesn't, oh, no, that's right. This one has a buddy right here, and then these buddy up. And you're going to want to separate out your cats. Okay. And what you do is if this is cat column 2, okay, so let me pull those notes over. This is cat column 2, so listed as 2. Then you're going to want to copy and paste this code here to throw in another cat. And you can add some breaks to space the pictures out so it's off the text and all that stuff. So you can add some cats down here. And since it's set to auto, anything you add is going to expand out your cat pictures. It's going to just expand everything out. And that is how you would attempt. And see how this one's margined in, and they probably cropped these photos and stuff like that. So a professional photographer took a picture and then they cropped the photos. And you can make the photos the same size, or you put code in there like we did with cat, and you make all the photos sort of fit what you want to fit proportionally. And if you want space between the text and all that stuff, just add some breaks. And you can just, keep doing this as many times as you want. This right here is just flipping to other pages. So if you wanted, more pages of food or something like that, or to go to a different page that had more examples of food, you could do that. But honestly, it's you wouldn't necessarily do that. If you're an artist and you took a lot of photos, you would do something like that. But honestly, if you're just showing samples of your food or something like that, 8 is enough. Alrighty, there we are.